know what it is? It's an STI. No, it's not an STI. Look, stop it. You'll get what I'm saying in a minute. You're going to get it, I promise. When you're wearing those rose-coloured glasses at the beginning of a relationship, oh, it's good, isn't it? It's hard to imagine a time when you're arguing about who actually owns those glasses, right? You get it? Larke joins us. Oh,
wow, look at you.
Brenda, don't embarrass me.
Don't embarrass
Don't make a scene.
Don't make a scene.
Don't make a scene.
Don't embarrass you. You got a nerve. I'll tell you what's embarrassing.
Okay?
Being hassled by Mr. Zaworski in the
Brenda,
elevator because
control
I'm
yourself,
behind
all right?
in the red. That's embarrassing. Worrying about how I'm going to get my kid from college.
Brenda,
that's embarrassing.
You know something? You never listened. For 20 years, you never ever listened. Here. Honey, why don't you try this on and fitting? It looks very nice.
You know, I could use this. It's very beautiful. And I love the color. But what am I going to use for money? How am I going to pay for it?
Oh, I love it. Larke joins us today to tell us why you're all at risk at sexually transmitted debt, and more importantly, how we can protect ourselves financially. Welcome, Larke. I've actually had one of these problems in a past relationship. Was left with quite a big credit card debt, which my ex did help me eventually pay off. But how do you stop yourself from getting involved? You want to trust your partner, but you don't want to get in the poo, do you?
No, that's true. But as women, we actually think with our hearts. We actually don't think with our heads. So when you get involved in a relationship, you do need to think about the assets that you have and the assets that your partner has, and think about how do you secure those, and also think twice about the things that you're signing.
At what point does it become like your debt? So let's say you go into a relationship, you don't know that your partner has, let's say, $50,000 worth in credit card debt. At any point other than you not getting married, does it ever become your debt?
So my advice to you where that's concerned is that when you're thinking about getting into a relationship, and this isn't marriage, this is moving in together and cohabitating, so you actually need to talk to a lawyer about where you sit with that. I know all of you will go, but that'll take the romance out of it. I actually had a discussion with a really close friend last week who's just about to celebrate her first year in her second marriage, and she said all the time when she was coming up to her marriage, she was going, I've got to have this conversation. We've got to sit down and talk about what are his assets and his debts and what are mine, and how do I secure them to my kids, because he was coming to the marriage with 3 children. She had 1 child, and he was moving into her home.
Right.
Now, that's a minefield. That's an absolute minefield.
Are there tips? Do you have any, like, it's one thing to say you've got to have this conversation, but what's a good way to start it, or how can you approach it?
So, and that was a conversation she and I had, and she said eventually she was so upset that she had to have it, because she said, but I love him, and we're just about to get married, and we're all feeling great about it. And I'm going to say to him, but I want us to talk to a lawyer about the assets. And I said, how about you approach it from the point of view of your children? So you have a son, and you want to ensure that he's looked after, and the assets you've accumulated will be left to him. And your new husband has 3 children to a previous marriage and assets, and obviously he wants to ensure that they're secured to his kids. So go through the eyes of your children, that you're actually saying you're helping look after each other's children, so that you don't get one claiming the assets of the other.
And what about, to think not too morbidly, but then the next step is also to ensure, a lot of people don't have an up-to-date will when they're dating a new person, to make sure that if something happens, you need to very, very clearly stipulate who's going to get your super, who's going to get your assets.
And have that proper conversation to make sure that it's really clear. Because if something was to happen to you, the other thing is your superannuation. None of us think about our super, and that you actually make sure that you have got strict instructions about your super, because the trustees can do certain things with your super when you pass on. You need to be very clear if something should happen to you, where does your super go as well?
Like, can we talk about stay-at-home mums? If they're doing all the homework, what happens in that situation?
My big advice to all those mums who have taken time out of work and at home, and their husbands continue to work and build up their super, when he is going to have his meeting with his financial planner, and he's going to be looking obviously at his super and what's happening with it. Go to those meetings. Don't think it's okay, my husband's looking after that, or my partner. Go to those meetings. Insist that you get a copy of the yearly what's in the super, so that he gets a copy, you get a copy, and together you work out what's going to happen with the super. Don't put your head in the sand and leave your husband to do everything.
And also get independent advice from your accountant separately, a separate session, so that you're... I know a lot of women who are so busy looking after the house, looking after the kids, and as you say, just assume, oh, my hubby's got it all sorted. But don't check statements, don't check what's actually going on.
Have no idea what's even in their super.
And have no idea about the detail of family trusts and things like that.
No.
So you're encouraging women to do what? To make a separate session with an accountant?
With an accountant or a family lawyer. And also make sure you go with him when he goes to see the planner. Because so many women, I just recently met the most gorgeous woman in North Queensland, 75 years of age, and her husband's just left her for another woman. And you'd think, 75, how on earth can that happen?
Bloody hell, 75!
Yes, exactly. And why would another woman have him? Sorry, shouldn't say that. So
he's about to hit her financially.
So what he said to her is, you can have the home, he's taken the investments and the money. And he's moved in with his new girlfriend who owns her own home.
He's
top bloke.
What was your advice to her financially?
I've sent her straight off to a planner straight away to get some advice, because nothing's been signed yet. She needs to go back and negotiate what this separation or this divorce is going to be. 25% of women only are satisfied with how they come out of a divorce. We have got to get better informed about what our rights are.
Would you please thank Larke, ladies and gentlemen? And my advice on avoiding sexually transmitted debt is to wash everything after each transaction. You're watching The Circle. We'll see you after this.